It's 10 o'clock. It's time for the council to be in session. Ms. Sakowski is here. Mrs. Waters, we have 3 members present. We need 7 more for a quorum. It's 20 minutes after 10, and we have Mr. Alatorre, Mr. Fuhrer, Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Sikowski, Mr. Ridley Thomas, Mrs. Walters. We have 7 members present. We need 3 for a quorum. Sergeant, would you go see if you can find 3 members? Use any means of force to get them here. Call the roll.
Alatorre, Burnson, Chick, Fuhrer, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Ridley Thomas, Swarnich, Wax, Walters, Ferraro, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Well, the council will please come to order. This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 26th day of January 1998. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Ms. Sikowski moves, Mr. Hernandez second. There's no objections, unanimous vote. The next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Before you start the regular agenda, Mr. President, there are several items to be continued. Items 1 and 2, public hearing items, are to be continued 1 week, February 2nd, 99.
Is there any objection to continuing those 2 items? 1 and 2? Seeing none, the matters are continued. Next, any other continuation?
Yes, Mr. President. Item number 15, we have a request to continue to February 5th.
All right, is there any objection to continuing item 15 until February 5th? Seeing none, that will be the order. Next, any others?
No, Mr. President. Next item, you have a confirmation of a city official to confirm Nathan L. Croman to the Board of Taxi Cab Commissioners for the term ending June 30th, 99.
What item is that?
Item number 16.
Item 16. Nathan Croman. There he is. Is there any discussion on this appointment? Mr. Swarnich.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. It's been brought to my attention that there may be a conflict in regards to this appointment, and I would like to hear a couple questions that I do have to ask. Is that I believe, and the reason for the line of this questioning, this is the first time this commission is in existence, and it's been brought to my attention that sometime last year, Mr. Croman, maybe you can clarify it since I don't know you personally, that when there was some issues regarding one of the taxi cab franchises or discussions, that you may have been a representative of one of the entities that were having some problems or some debate here at City Hall, and if you could enlighten us on that a little bit.
3 years ago, a number of distraught drivers, not companies, came to me for the purpose of trying to retrieve cash, which they gave to Yellow Cab Company in exchange for stock. And they had no place else to go, so they came to me and asked me if I would negotiate the return of their money or to give them stock that had value. I helped negotiate a settlement of that. It was completed by other lawyers, but I did get them started. It is something that should never have occurred in the first place because it happened on the watch of the last commission and of the people at the in the Department of Transportation. So if anything, I helped the city out of a tight spot, as well as those drivers who I think were taken advantage of, and that is what I did. But I did not represent any companies. I went to assist the drivers simply because they felt that they had no place and really couldn't afford to go any other place. Ultimately, they did when they got a larger group. So that was the essence of that, but I've never represented any companies.
Okay, but you did represent some drivers in regards to their issue with a current franchisee, is that correct?
Well, I don't know if this particular people, the Yellow Cab people, are franchisees at the moment, but we were trying to find out if we could get back the money that they had given, which had never been given, and we also tried to make an arrangement where that if anybody did buy Yellow Cab, which was in deep trouble at the time, that it would be subject to the accommodation of these drivers. And these are minority drivers who came in on the promise that they would fulfill the American dream of owning a piece of the company, but that just didn't happen.
Okay,
so I tried to help them. Okay. And I explained that to the city attorney, Mr. Alperin, who said that that was not a problem.
Okay.
Burnson?
Yes, members of the council, it was I that recommended Mr. Croman. I've known him for many, many years. In fact, we went to school together. And he has served in the past as a member of the Transportation Commission under Mayor Bradley. I did make the recommendation to the mayor, and it was also I that, when I heard about the possible conflict, that raised the question and asked the question about whether there was a conflict. I am satisfied that there is not a conflict. I'm also satisfied that Mr. Croman is very capable and qualified to serve on this commission, and I would urge his approval.
Mr. Fuhr?
Thank you, Mr. President. I am grateful that Mr. Savornich raised this issue because I know that this has been a rumor circulating around City Hall. I'm glad that Mr. Burnson also was concerned enough to assure that we had this scrutiny performed. I think Mr. Croman this morning has ably demonstrated the complete absence of any conflict that should undermine his appointment. And because that's true, and because of his past record of performance, I urge unanimous support for this appointment.
Thank you.
Mrs. Chick?
Yes, I also rise in support. I've known Mr. Croman for many years now and knew him in his role as a transportation commissioner for Mayor Bradley. And at that time, that commission was dealing with taxi issues as well as some other complex and controversial issues, and Mr. Croman had a well-deserved reputation for representing the interests of taxi riders, being understanding of the full picture, and having a reputation for being tough. And my suspicion is that it's exactly that wonderful kind of reputation and that quality that we want to have in all of our commissioners that raised some of the whispers and rumors and concerns about a conflict of interest that absolutely doesn't exist. So I think we can all feel very enthusiastic about confirming this appointment and look to Mr. Croman to do some more good, tough, hard work now under Mayor Reardon and with us. Thank you.
Mr. Croman, your name is Nathan.
Yes.
You're a breath of fresh air around here. I must tell you that to hear you even be questioned, and that's okay, I understand what Mr. Savornich is doing, he's a good man. But the fact of the matter is that you were one of the few people who tried to keep the system honest and straight. I didn't hear anybody talking in defense of the drivers who were being ripped off by Yellow Cab, but you did. And now somebody's going to put rumors around City Hall. That's a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest to do the right thing, to have, be the voice for those who don't have one, who spent all their money. The merger should have been subjected to, right, those drivers getting their money back. You did what was right. Now, this is one way of guaranteeing that the commission is not stacked, to have at least someone on there is going to be fair. And you're such a person, and I'm delighted, I'm very pleased, I'm enthusiastically voting for your confirmation. And I've never said that about anyone that I voted to confirm here at City Hall. And I want to commend the mayor having the insight and the commitment to keep that commission honest, and by appointing you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I always admire anybody with the name of Nate.
Mr. Hernandez?
Mr. Kramer, you're doing real well until Mr. Bernstein stood up and said you went to school with him and he was supporting you. And now I heard Mr. Holden supporting you, and I'm not sure what I'm doing. I just wanted to stand up and acknowledge that in your presentation to us today, you said a few things that are very important, I think. You were talking about drivers who are trying to fulfill an American dream. You were talking about the interest of the opportunity for those franchises to evolve. And I think it's important that we understand that, and it's a difficult line trying to regulate the industry. And I think that when we look at the department, the easy thing for the department to do is to have, one company that they oversee. It's not necessarily to oversee each driver. And so I welcome you on the commission, and I hope that you continue that attitude of trying to respect the rights of drivers and try and make sure they have equal opportunities to fulfill the American dream. And we still have some issues out there with what used to be called bandit taxi cab drivers who try to basically legitimize themselves and do the right thing. And so hopefully you can help us straighten that issue out also. But
thank you. I'm hopeful that we can do that, and actually I'm hopeful that we can perfect the taxi industry so that we can all ride into the millennium with some good drivers and efficient and clean taxis.
Okay. With that in mind, in spite of Mr. Bernstein's endorsement and Mr. Holden's endorsement, I'll also be supporting your nomination.
Thank you.
I think everything has been said and said by everybody. So prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Mr. Nathan Croman, I voted for you in spite of your first name being similar to somebody on the city council, but anyway, one Nathan is enough.
Thank you, John.
Congratulations, you've served the city before, and we know you'll do a great job, and we appreciate it. And we'll send this forthwith.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for the confidence by all of you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 4, an appointment of Mr. Raymond Anderson to exempt position of Deputy GM Airports.
All right, Mr. Anderson, would you come forward so everyone else can have a look at you? Ms. Galanter?
Mr. President, this is something that's been the culmination, I hope, of a process that's been in the works for a very long time. Mr. Anderson has been selected by Mr. Driscoll to fill a position that we created over a year ago as essentially the business development specialist for the Department of Airports, to come up with a strategy and then implement it for how we can make the best use of all of the resources owned by LA World Airports, not just LAX, which we seem to be making plenty of use of even as we speak, even though the weather's pretty bad out there. So I would urge the council's support of filling this position. The reason we have to vote on it is that we had to first exempt the position. We then, under the rules, have to also exempt the person who's going to be in the position. So I hope we will take the opportunity to do it and put him to work.
All right, there are no cards submitted. Is there anyone on the council wishing to speak on this item? If not, open the roll. Close the roll.
12 ayes.
That's approved. Next order, Madam Clerk. Without objection, forthwith to the mayor on that item.
Item 3, Mr. President, is a continued public hearing. It's a resolution of modification for 1911 Act street improvements. It's Warnham Avenue near Sunland Boulevard.
All right, is there any discussion? If not, open the roll. Close the roll.
12 ayes.
That matter is approved. Next order, Madam Clerk.
Items 5 through 15, or excuse me, items 5 through 14 are items for which public hearings have already been held. Item 14 is required that the council go into closed session for pursuant to Government Code 54957.
All right. Members of council, are there, obviously item 5 is a special. Are there any other specials 5 through 14? Are there any specials, member of council, 5 through 14? Or 6 through 14? And which item for executive session, Madam Clerk?
Item number 14.
All right, 14 will be held. Well, I'm not sure why that has to be an executive session, but we'll hold it anyway as a special, yeah. 14 is to be an executive. Well, I'll be honest with you, it's not I don't know why it has to be an executive session, but in any event, we're going to call it special. So open the roll then on...
Mr. President, it needs to go in closed session. It's my understanding there are personnel issues.
Well, I think too many things are done in closed session personally, and I think that it involves a lot of policy that ought to be discussed openly, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Open the roll on 6 through 13. Close the roll.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. The chair recognizes Council President Ferraro for a special presentation.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the council, we're indeed happy today to present some certificates of commendation for members of our safety people, the fire department and the police department, people that I'm sure all of you have had the opportunity on the news last week to see our people working to save the life of an individual employee that was trapped in the ditch in a city project. This is an example of the kind of people we have working for the city of Los Angeles we can all be very proud of. This is an example of why everybody should look at that bond issue that's going to be on the ballot in April to provide even more facilities for our public safety forces, the police and the fire and the emergency services. So I'd like to join with Laura Chick, council member, chair of the Public Safety Committee, to make some presentations to these heroes who worked practically all night to save the life of one individual.
And they did, and they were successful. Thank you, President Ferraro. I'd like to ask all of the firefighters and the representatives from the private companies that were involved, and including the county firefighter, the county fire department, to come up and join us at the podium, please. This is a spotlight on you. Just crowd in on both sides. And while they are doing that, I received a call Wednesday afternoon from the LA Fire Department. They said the following: we're responding to a call. in which a man working with the DWP, our Department of Water and Power, has fallen into a deep trench, which has collapsed around him. And needless to say, the outlook was very grim. But I'm here today with President Ferraro, surrounded by some of the many city heroes. Each of these people, and many more who couldn't be with us today, are very personally responsible for saving the life of Arturo Garcia. The Los Angeles Fire Department responded quickly and with full force and full talent. I'd like to, along with President Ferraro, begin by giving special thanks to the Urban Search and Rescue Task Forces 27 and 88, and if firefighter Chris Castellanos and Captain Richard Cotterall would come to the podium, we have certificates of appreciation for you. It's just this one. This one. Thank you both very, very much, not just for that day, but for what you do every single day. Additionally, with the group supervision of Urban Search and Rescue Company 88, we want to especially recognize the command officer, Captain Viscano. Thank you. There were a number of other representatives of our city fire department there, and each and every one of them deserve our thanks and support for their tireless efforts. Firefighters Steve Berkery and Chris Bustamante are accepting on behalf of their colleagues. Thank you. Mr. Ferraro has the...
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And a special thanks to the efforts of the Los Angeles County Fire Department, who joined in this unbelievable effort, especially their Urban Search and Rescue Company 1. Deputy Chief James Corbett, who is used to working closely with the city's fire department, is accepting the certificate on the county's behalf.
Thank you very much on behalf of Chief Freeman. Yes, if I may. Thank you, President Ferraro and Councilmember Chick. On behalf of Fire Chief P. Michael Freeman of the County of Los Angeles Fire Department and all the men and women of our department, and especially those representatives here today of the gentlemen from our department that did respond to assist the City of Los Angeles, we're gratefully appreciative for this recognition that I humbly accept on behalf of all of them. And this incident is clearly an example of the outstanding cooperation and teamwork and emergency response between the two fire departments in Los Angeles that resulted in the successful outcome. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. It's very clear that this is a role model for other departments and other government entities in terms of working together for the well-being of our public. And it was a real partnership that we can't thank them enough for. But I'd also like to recognize an incredible volunteer, United Pumping Service, a company from our private sector. If Dan Perry and Ed Perry would come forward, these two brothers called our fire department proactively to say, we think we can help, we think we've got the equipment you need, and they were there on the spot, and we did need your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looks like he ate more.
And then, also Miller Pipeline Corporation, on contract with our city's Department of Water and Power. They also came through with equipment and a truck to help remove the sand and debris that was around Mr. Garcia. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So to each and every one of you, again, not just for what you did that day, but it's a graphic example, colleagues, of what our firefighters and our paramedics and the county do every day. And echoing President Ferraro's sentiment, these employees deserve to have decent fire stations in which to live and work and operate out from. Please join us in supporting the police and fire bond.
Okay, before we do, Ms. Galanter would like to say a few words.
I just wanted to add my thanks as chair of the committee that takes care of the Department of Water and Power. I think it's worth noting that it's all of our city employees and contractors who work on big projects and little projects throughout the city who find themselves at risk. And I actually was in a meeting with the general manager of Water and Power when the call came in to him to tell him that about the accident that had just happened. And so we're sitting in the middle of a meeting trying to talk about business of the Department of Water and Power, and I want you to know that everything came to a halt as we too started, it became part of your cheering squad from inside an office in City Hall. And I followed it for the rest of the day on the radio reports, and I too want to congratulate you. We are all very lucky that we had all of you, including the pumping company, ready to literally jump in and save this gentleman from a really unpleasant possible consequence. So I too want to thank you.
I must say, Miss,
We're very proud of
I
you.
was home ill that day, and I watched it from beginning to end, and it beat any of the car chases I've ever seen. And when it was over,
Much nicer ending.
when it was over, there was just there were tears just in your eyes watching it on television, and a heart that really just swelled with pride at the way that our city employees and the county employees responded. It was a very, very, nothing could do more to make the city prouder of people than their own actions. And it's a great day, and it's wonderful you brought them down here to be honored. Mr. Burnson would like to speak a moment.
Yes, I too watched it, and I want to commend all the people who are involved in this. But I must tell you that this wasn't a surprise. This is the type of service that our fire department, our police, our paramedics, our public safety employees perform every single day. This one got a lot more publicity, but it's not unusual, and I think we all ought to be very thankful to the people that perform this great service for us, and I want to personally extend my congratulations again. But I must tell you, this is not unusual. People who are watching, they do it all the time, and maybe we got a little more recognition for it this time. But thank you very much. We appreciate everything you do for us.
Chair recognizes Mr. Holden.
That's right, Ms. Chick. The fact of the matter is that, as Mr. Burnson just said, these are the kind of tasks that are performed by both the city paramedics, fire department, as well as the county, which I've known for years, day in and day out. But I must tell you that, like Joel, who wasn't feeling very well, neither was I at the time, but I was just sitting there in the chair rather than saying lying in bed, but I was really in bed. And I watched you from the very early part of the evening perform this precision operations, like a surgery, inch by inch, as you excavated the soil that was caving in on this gentleman who covered him up from time to time completely. But you didn't give up and he didn't, because the comments by the fire department was that he helped us continuously. And so you both had the same spirit, same commitment, working together as a team. And you never quit, you never gave up, you did an excellent job, and certainly he, his family, and we cannot thank you enough. Congratulations for a job well done. Just add another notch.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Ferraro?
Yeah, we want Chief Momatri to say something, Mr. President.
Thank you. Certainly a pleasure to come here on positive note. Oftentimes we're hearing the horseshoe on difficult issues, but I think this is the payback for all of you for the support that you continually give us. Sometimes it's not as easy to recognize, and this was a day where all the training, all the support, all the effort that went into the skills that these members behind me brought to bear saved a person's life. And I think it is a celebration of the interagency support between Los Angeles County and the Los Angeles City Fire Department, which has become a seamless operation on major incidents, but certainly in the private sector, which is something that when you have an emergency of that nature, anything that you can bring to bear for a successful conclusion is a real benefit, and those are things we're pursuing as lessons out of the Northridge earthquake when we activate the EOC and access the private sector. So really a celebration for all of us in the interagency support and the support we would like to carry forward in the upcoming campaign for the bond that will continue to support these types of efforts and really celebrate for our people here not just the skills But as you all saw during the many hours, it was extreme character that was involved in talking to this gentleman, to Arturo, to keep his spirits up and to keep our own spirits up, so that after approximately 8 hours, we were able to have a successful conclusion. So thank you again for your support, and we'll continue to do that with that support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next order, Madam Clerk.
Item number 17 is acceptance of bids and award. The bids were opened this morning in the city clerk's office at 9 a.m., and the CAO has prepared a resolution for council to adopt awarding the bid to Goldman Sachs for aggregate principal amount of $88,355,000 with a true interest cost of 4.5876, and there's also an ordinance on the file.
All right, is there any staff here on this? And it's also a public hearing item. There's a request from Mr. Leonard Shapiro. Mr. Shapiro here? Yeah.
Mr. President and council members, item 17 concerns the refinancing of an existing water bond which was brought before the City Council a couple of months ago and on which I spoke about and raised some questions. Phyllis Curry, who was a financial officer of the Department of Water and Power, told me she would give me the information I requested. I wanted to know exactly how much money was being saved, when it was being saved, and how it was being saved. Instead, all I got from the financial office was a letter saying they're going to save so much money, just like you got here on this item. On this item, it says that the percentage now that you're paying is 7.1%, and it's believed that you can get something in the range of 5%, so therefore you'll save $16 million. How do you know you'll save $16 million? Unless somebody shows you exactly how you're going to save it. And I've seen these figures. Each year you have a certain amount of payments, and you add up all those payments, and if it's a saving, good. If it isn't, then it's not good. And on the same token, when are you saving the money? The first year, the second year, the third year, or the 20th year? If they push the items off 20 years, then you're really not saving money in $1999. You're saving a lot less. I say there's a lot of work that's got to be done on this before they can come to you. They say that they want a preliminary official statement. Before they can give a preliminary official statement, before you give it, I think you should find out exactly what's going on. Are they saving you money, or are they not saving you money? Are they building up the fees, the bond issuance cost for the bonding and underwriting companies? Are they building up the amount of money that banks will make, or is the City Council and the City of LA actually getting the money? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this item? If not, the hearing is closed. Is there any discussion, members of council? If not, open the roll, close the roll.
13 ayes.
All right, that's excuse me, that's approved without objection forthwith. Next order, Madam Clerk.
Items 18 through 31, items for which public hearings have not been held.
All right, I have cards from members of the audience on 29 and 31. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on any of the items 18 through 31 other than 29 and 31? If not, the public hearing will be closed on those items. Members of council, are there any specials 18 through 31? Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah, on item 25, I wanted to move the Arts, Health, and Humanities report. It is different from Community Economic Development
Okay,
report.
why don't we just call that special a moment so that we can, well, we can know what the difference, so that we know what the difference between the two is. Are there any other specials, members of council?
31.
All right, Mr. Holden calls 31 special. Any others? If not, open the roll on 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, and 30. Close the roll.
13 ayes.
Those items are approved. We'll hold for a moment item 25. Well, let's go to the public hearing items on these. First, on number 25, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Fiera, could you describe the difference between the two committee reports and which one it is you want to adopt? Or
On item 25, there was a usage, it's for construction or finishing a construction of a high school. We're providing the funding when it's happening now. And basically, Arts, Health, and Humanities Committee concluded in its report the usage of about $1.6 million of UDAG monies. When it was in our committee, we were also getting a separate report on UDAG monies, but we got that clarified, and we're moving the Arts, Health, and Humanities report.
All right, so it's unanimous. Okay, then any further discussion, members of council? Not open the roll on the Arts, Health, and Humanities report. Close the roll.
13 ayes.
That's approved. Item 29 is called special. Mr. Leonard Shapiro, item 29.
Mr. President, item 29 concerns an audit that Councilman Mike Fewer is requesting be done. And the backup material on this indicates why it's so necessary that it be done properly. I'm for this motion. I think it's a great idea. I think too many audit recommendations are made and completely shoved in the back drawer someplace and nobody looks at them, and then the next time you look around, another helicopter's going down. It's evidently you're requesting that the CAO, the CLA, the General Services, Fire, Police, and Department of Water and Power get together with a draft proposal to have a comprehensive consultant audit. I don't know why all this red tape was necessary. You're giving them 30 days to do this job. I think if you want to get a comprehensive audit, which is definitely in the works, which is definitely needed around in this case there, with all these accidents that are happening with the helicopters, I don't think you have to waste time with getting all these top officials together to tell you that you need it and how they're going to work it out. I think it's very important that something happened, like it's pointed out to me in here, that you had an audit, a recent survey by the Associated Aviation Underwriters, which was accomplished in one day. What kind of audit is that? You need a comprehensive audit, which they're trying to get. And actually, the other people come around, they do a superficial audit, and then nothing happens. They make recommendations which aren't even listened to then, and then another helicopter goes down. I say this is well in order, and it should be done, and if possible, I say circumvent this bureaucratic meeting, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on item 29? If not, the public hearing is closed. Any discussion? All right, open the roll, close the roll.
13 ayes.
That item is approved. Next order, Madam Clerk.
Item number
Objection
31 called
forthwith.
special.
All right, Mr. Shapiro again on item 31.
Mr. President, item 31 is aimed at one of your members. I don't think I should mention Nate Holden's name, but it's aimed at somebody. You say in here that you want the council rules to be changed, so you limit to 3 the number of items that any member may call special in a meeting. Well, I read the Brown Act pretty well. I know it from top to bottom. And the Brown Act really, I don't think it's applicable to the members of the city council, but it might be, you know. And if the Brown Act is to be upheld as it applies to the city council, and I think Mr. Holden ought to look into that, because you're probably going to pass this thing, I think the Brown Act states every item on the agenda, every single item on the agenda must present an opportunity for the public to be heard on it. In other words, if I wanted to speak on 50 items instead of the 3, well, some of them you held committee meetings on, I could do it. If you don't want the public to speak here, and you don't want certain council people to speak too much on certain items, I think you ought to be forwarded and above board about this thing and say, we don't like what you're saying, it's superficial, it's frivolous, it's unnecessary, and rather than make a general rule. What if you do have items on there and a person does want to speak on 4 or 5 items? They're all important to the city. I don't think you should limit yourself to this, and I don't think it's necessary to change the rules. I think the rules are okay the way they are, because I've been to many meetings here, and the only way a meeting lasts for a long time is when you have extended discussion on any one subject for an hour or an hour and a half. Sometimes you have 2 or 3 of those long items when you're discussing it. But when somebody gets up there and speaks for 3 minutes, that doesn't hold up your meeting at all. And most of your meetings ended up in the vicinity of 1 hour to 1 hour and a half. That isn't too much for the amount of money that's being paid on the salaries and backup of all the people here. I would say this motion is not necessary at all. I don't think it's been abused. I don't think the meetings take too long. In fact, there's too many of them that take too short a time. I think that this should be pigeonholed, sent back to committee. Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilman Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, I think all of us have enjoyed over the last couple of weeks efficient meetings with respect to a certain degree of discipline that has marked our deliberations. It seems to me that rules are designed for the express purpose of helping us to inform the public on matters of significance, and they are designed to cause us to do it in a way that people who are viewing Channel 35 or listening in the audience understand and know what we are doing. It is not the intent to tire us out. It's not the intent to take precious staff time waiting for one discussion after the next one. In fact, these matters could be handled by interviews with staff, clarifying issues, and then brought to the council in the appropriate way. The motion essentially says that in order for us to have the kind of meetings that all of us can be proud of with a certain degree of dignity and decorum, that we limit the number of specials any one member can call to 3. In that way, all of us can have sufficient airtime, just as the number of minutes we can speak at any given time is 3. And so this is only an attempt to say we can have better meetings, we can have more efficient meetings, we can have more informative meetings if we were to have rules by which we all are prepared to abide. Any flagrant violation of those rules ought to be publicly changed in such a way that we can benefit the majority, the whole of the body, rather than continuing on a path for the past several months that has been most unproductive and not in the public interest. So, Mr. President, members of the council, I would appeal to you to vote aye on this matter.
Oh, boy. This is a discussion we need not have. Mr. Holden, Mr. Hernandez, and Mr. Burnson.
Mr. President, the voters increased the councilperson's salary, and now it's up to over $100,000, maybe $110,000. If you don't think you're being paid enough, get another job someplace else. If you're going to take the people's money, you stay here and you do your job. You can't put a time limit on how long you want to work. The fact of the matter is that you cannot cut off debate. We don't have closed-door sessions in an open city council meeting. You don't have a closed session in an open city council meeting. And you cannot require 15 rubber stamps at the council level. We have to debate issues. To say to a district of voters that your council person can only call 3 items special, when there may be a combined agenda, 60, 70 items on an agenda, and you need at least more to talk about if they're of their interest to you and your constituents. No, you can't talk about those. Okay? We've had public comment from Mr. He already spoken 3 times already, but an elected official can't? Come on, this is ridiculous. It would be unconstitutional. I cannot understand for these civil liberties lawyers who would even sign on to that, saying that no free speech, abolish the 5th Amendment. That's in fact what you're saying, even if you're elected. You start justifying this, then of course what else? You have no idea what else would happen to you. Civil libertarians, and many of those claim to be such, saying you cannot have an open debate, you cannot have an open discussion on the issues that are significant to the people of this city. Fact of the matter is, the taxpayers pay us to do just that. And to do anything other than that is closing the door on having them have an opportunity to know what we're doing here at City Hall. Now, there are some things you want to railroad through, and you don't want an open discussion, and that's why you're making a big issue out of it. Let the public know that there'll be no railroad jobs here at all. If this item goes through, be assured I would join with you or you with me to bring a lawsuit against this action. The public has a right to know in a democratic society. Besides that, they do pay their money and they should be noticed. Mr. President, members, this is idiotic. Should not be before us at all. And I'm voting no.
Mr. Holden, the public got to know, but what time does the council start on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays?
It starts whenever you get here, and I want you to come real fast. Start running once in a while.
Okay. Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, I kind of rise on this issue because I understand the frustration in which the motion was introduced, and at the same time, I understand the spirit that's being exhibited by Mr. Holden. Mr. President, I need to remind you there was a time when you suggested that I do my committee work, that I study my issues before I get to the council floor, and I remember responding to you that I did. I just thought the rest of you should hear what's going on. And there are times when issues, and there have been times when the agenda itself is not just 30 items, but it's 80 items. There have been times when the issues were so complicated and intense that it was important that there be a public debate. And yes, it's frustrating. There are also different amounts of knowledge in this room in regards to issues. And there have been many times when something was called special and it brought to our attention something none of us were really aware of. Now, I understand our role as public policy makers and the reality that we need to have the opportunity to speak out when we feel something should be spoken about. And I also understand the frustration when we feel that that might be abused. I just think that taking an action like this is something that has to be reviewed by committee, and I don't know if it's gone to committee, Mr. President. Maybe you could give me some guidance there. Has this issue been reviewed already in Rules and Elections?
In committee, no.
And my motion would be that we send this item to Rules and Elections so that there be further discussion. That's all it's doing. That's all it's doing. I'd be extremely hesitant to vote to limit us to 3 items to call special at this time because, again, that might force us to do what I did also another time in this council meeting. That was fill out a card and ask to speak from the public. Yeah, but there's always a way out. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Burnson?
Yes.
What is your point?
Let me. I just want to say this. I think the appropriate action is to send it to Rules Committee. I might add, this is a very dire thing that if we proceed with this, but you must remember these types of things that are not necessarily appropriate for the future occur because of abuse or somebody taking advantage of a situation. So while I'm inclined to agree with the spirit of why it's done, I might not necessarily agree with the long-term impact it might have on the functioning of the City Council and members' ability to call items that information should be disseminated to the public. I would, if this comes back in any form, I would suggest to the Rules Committee that they certainly consider, if they're going to seriously consider something like this, there ought to be an ability to suspend the rules beyond the 3 or whatever number might be. That would require a vote of the council to allow suspension of the rules. So if we're going to proceed that way, that gives us the opportunity for legitimate discussion, and it also perhaps will maybe perhaps inspire people who might take advantage of the situation in order to delay council meetings or whatever reason they may have, not to do so in the future. Because that's what happens when you abuse a process. There's a reaction, and this is the proposed reaction.
Mr. Wax?
I move the previous question.
What is your clarification, Mr.?
Mr. President, if I may, the motion does, as it is before you, refer the entire matter to Rules and Election in the spirit, Mr. Burns, of what you said, so that Rules Committee can refine this, and the excellent suggestion you made could be one of the things that would come back to us. But you make the point very well in terms of the abuse that has gone on that we need to check. So that's in the motion, and we simply agree that it should be referred to committee.
I got a clarification.
What is your clarification, Mr. Holden?
My clarification that anybody can stand up at any time and say, I moved the previous question. And they do that much too often sometimes.
That's
And
not-
everything else is subjective. When you start talking about abuse, that's subjective. And politicians will be subjective, and that's what you're doing.
That's
That's
we have-
okay, no problem.
we
We
have
just
a
take it to
motion-
court. You're not going to pass this and make it
Motion
stick.
to previous question.
You're not going to pass this and make it stick. We'll send it to court. I promise you.
Prepare the roll. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
Okay. Okay, let the record show Mr. Holden voted no. The matter is to be sent to a committee. There's no objections to that. That'll be the order. Next item.
Item number 5, Mr. President, it's ordinance
Well,
and committee
what is
report.
32 and...
I'm sorry, 33
14
and
and
34.
32 are closed session?
And 33 and 34 are on the supplemental page.
Okay, let's do those, 33 and 34. Is there any discussion on those?
And also 35 is an item from which public hearings have not been held.
Okay, does anybody want to be heard? We have no cards, no one wants to be heard on those items. Any discussion on 33, 34, 35? If not, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
Those are approved. Forthwith and 30.
Gee, I can't even, forthwith on item 34.
Yeah, we already did that. Mr. Burnson asked. Okay, item number 5. So there's some of us have to be disqualified, so I'm leaving this council chamber. Mr. Wax? Yeah, if you want to.
Joe, you want me to present, or do you want to do it? I know. You want to do it? You want me to do it?
If you can get the difference between the First and the Fifth Amendments, it'd be all right.
Why are you disqualified?
Don't ask.
I own stock.
Oh, you do? Buy him too. I'm the stockholder.
Wait, how many people are being excused? Mr. Ferraro and Mr. Fuhrer? That leaves 11 members. Mr. Alatorre has excused himself.
I got to excuse myself. I used to
Well,
work
then
for-
we were not going to have a quorum, and
Then
Mr.
bring one
City
of those
Attorney
guys
going to
back.
have to advise the council on how to proceed if we don't have a quorum.
If-
The only people that have been excused, Mr. Holden, are those that feel that there is a conflict.
I used to work for AT&T, so I have to be
That's,
excused.
the city attorney would rule that that's not a
Well,
conflict.
that's the city attorney rule, not you.
I said the city attorney ruled that's not a conflict.
Mr. Holden, you don't currently work for them, and do you currently have a financial interest?
Well, I
Maybe
have
we
a
should
certain
talk.
I have a certain loyalty, and
See,
over the years.
This is another way of calling something.
All right. No, seriously, members of council, let's not let this degenerate into, let's run this in a proper way. All right, we have the members who have been excused, and no other members are now excused. Who is here to present item number 5? Does the chair of the committee, I'm going to call on the chair of the committee, then the staff,
Please.
and then we have a public hearing, and then I start with Mr. Hernandez.
I'll get other ways.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, do you wish to present
Thank
the
you.
committee's recommendation?
Mr. President, members of the council, this comes to us as one of the significant matters as it relates to the interest of telecommunications and how it impacts the residents of the city of Los Angeles and indeed beyond. The questions raised in committee relate to what is in the best interest of the public, what most effectively here serves the public good. We asked staff to attend to the question of what will encourage competition in the marketplace. We asked staff, Mr. President, is regulatory intervention needed? And we did that on the basis of our feeling, your committee feeling, that the city wishes to encourage infrastructure investment, which will have positive economic impacts in our community jobs, among the most important point that we consider, but not only jobs, but improved quality of service for the residents, that is to say the end user. Residents and businesses should have the ability, we believe, to purchase affordable, reliable, high-speed internet access from a choice of providers. Choice was important to the committee as well. And we also said that the city wants its residents to have a greater access to all communication, all telecommunication services. We do not wish to legislate where it isn't warranted. We believe that the market or a technical solution to the internet access issue or challenges is appropriate. And toward that end, Mr. President, members of the council, as has been communicated to you by way of letter and clarification, as well as the committee's transmittal, we have made a recommendation pursuant to the work of the Information Technology Commission, as well as a resolution that we will ask for you to adopt as well, that speaks to our work that we began on the question of universal access, and then it goes beyond that to urge the staff to attend to the business of non-discriminatory utilization and the whole range of issues regarding open access. So I will now turn to the staff for further clarification, and I think we can dispose of this matter in an appropriate
For the
way.
record, since, is Mr. Alatorre? Mr. Alatorre has returned and he has resolved his conflict, so he will be able to participate. Would the staff like to go ahead?
Mr. President, I'm John Huang, Information Technology Agency. We're here today to seek your approval to the transfer of control of TCI to AT&T. In the transfer, we deliberated, and one key issue indeed has to do with open, non-discriminatory access to the cable architecture. We are prepared to work with the Chief Legislative Analyst to develop a policy and implementation plan for open, non-discriminatory access to cable architecture by internet access providers, and also to look at the city's universal service access policy, as well as to work with the Federal Communications Commission. My staff and I are prepared to answer questions.
And you also have number 5A. Have you seen that, so that you might want to include any of your comments on that as well?
Yes.
That's something that's included within your recommendations?
The new motion, yes.
By Mr. Hernandez? Okay.
Yes.
That's just the franchise fee.
Is there anyone else at the front desk here that would like to speak? Do any of you have anything to add? All right, if not, we have a public hearing, and I'm going to go to the request to be heard. Mark Helm, Mr. Helm, followed by George Milston.
Are going to charge him 5% of the growth.
Mr. President, my name is Mark Helm. I'm from the law firm Munger, Tolles & Olson, and we represent GTE, which, among other things, is in the business of providing internet access. Very briefly, we are disappointed that the city has elected not to impose an open access requirement as a condition of transferring control of this cable franchise. However, we do strongly support Council Members Ridley Thomas's proposed resolution declaring the belief that consumers should have a choice among internet providers when they seek access through a cable system, and we look forward to working with the city in trying to develop and implement a policy that's appropriate to achieve those goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Helm. George Milston, followed by Gene Hale.
George Milston, Latham and Watkins, representing America Online. I will be brief. America Online supports open, non-discriminatory access. We believe that the action taken by the committee is the appropriate action. We urge your approval of the resolution and the ordinance that have been brought forward by the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Milston. Gene Hale, followed by Lois Hedgepeth.
Good morning. My name is Gene Hale, president of the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce in Los Angeles. I'm here today to express our participation and support for the Ridley Thomas resolution on open access. Many small businesses have established email addresses through their current internet service providers. If these businesses want to jump onto a high-speed cable access line and retain their current email address, they would have to pay twice, once for the cable internet service provider and again for the current internet service provider. GLAC supports the growth and use of the internet in Los Angeles, and we encourage the council to adopt the Ridley Thomas resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. Lois Hedgepeth, followed by Perry Parks.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm AT&T's representative in the Pacific and Western regions. We would also like to applaud the committee's work on this and especially thank the chair of the committee for all the time and effort that they spent on this. We feel that this merger is good for Los Angeles. It will bring competition to the local phone service, which we all use. It'll bring access alternatives to the internet. We will be the second or third wire to the home, both for telephony and for interstate access. We support this resolution. We support the ordinance, and we believe that the motion should be a part of the resolution, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hedgepeth. Perry Parks, and excuse me before you speak, this is those are all the cards that I've received. If there's anyone else wishing to address the council on this item in the public, would you give the sergeant your name and we'll get a card on you. Mr. Parks?
Perry Parks, Vice President, Media One. I'm here to speak in support of the staff recommendation, the motion as it comes out of the committee, and essentially to indicate that Media One, being the first provider of broadband internet service in the city of LA, believes that the position that the committee has taken in terms of studying the issue and allowing competition in the open market to be the final determinator in who will prevail here is the right position to take. So I'm rising to speak in support of the motion. Thank you.
All right. There being no other requests to be heard, then the public hearing will be closed. Mr. Ridley Thomas, have you finished your presentation? All right. The chair recognizes Councilman Hernandez.
Questions on the amendment motion?
All right. Mr. Hernandez passes. Excuse me, I had Ms. Chicken. There was another name up here. Okay. I have Ms. Chick and Mr. Holden. If there's anyone else that wishes to be heard, would you press your button again? It got clicked off. Okay. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Chick.
Briefly, because I believe the chair of the committee has, in his hard work, really laid out the issues and come to the very best decision at this point in the process. I simply want to say that in terms of going forward from today, that what we really need to keep our absolute energetic focus on is the consumer, the public, the customers, the clients, and what is in their best interest. And I certainly feel that what we're doing today is moving towards that. And clearly there's more to be done, but each step in its own time. As long as the focus is the consumer, the customer, the client, the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chick. The chair recognizes Councilman Holden.
Take note that I didn't call this in special, but someone else did. Mr. President, members, my concern is about the monopoly. Now, you can recall when AT&T was the only telephone provider from east, west, north, south. And you can also recall that when the cable industry tried to get into the market, it was AT&T that rejected all the possibilities to make that happen. You do recall that, don't you? Now, why would we believe that because of what AT&T is saying today, that we have open access when you let them into this market, that they will not move to monopolize the market? Now, you have some of these companies, even Media One, et cetera, can make a lot of money just by merging and selling out their outfit also. You know, I don't know what deals are pending. Did you ask? Did you have a clause in here to say that you cannot buy up some of the other cable companies? Is that in there? If it's not, then you're on the verge to a monopoly which the courts would have to decide is a monopoly, and that you'd have to split off once again, as they did with the telephone companies. That's what will happen. Now, you got too many loopholes in this outfit, this proposal. And I'd like to know for sure, you can tell me when my time is up, whether or not those safeguards are in place. I just remember very easily 21, 22 years ago when the telephone company said no to the cable outfits. And you could not have cable TV when it served the best interests of the people of this state and of the nation. When the Public Utilities Commission said let it happen, the telephone company, AT&T, said no and denied the cable industry the right to have access to their poles, telephone poles, so they could provide the service, even if the cable company were paying for that access. Isn't that right? Isn't that right over there? Cable guy won't say anything then. He was asking for a vote when I was in the Senate. Okay, your tongue, cat got your tongue now. When you need a big one later on, don't ask for it, because the cat should have your tongue then as well. The fact of the matter is that I must say to you that I'm inclined to do this, but I want to make sure that those safeguards are in place. If they're not in place, go and make it so. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Galanter.
Yeah, I think my comments will be somewhat similar to Mrs. Chick's. I get a lot of calls in my district, a lot of calls, from people who are unhappy with, we hear about cable service mostly, we also occasionally hear about phone service. We've not so much had calls specifically about internet access, but the theme of all of these calls is a concern about if they're unhappy with the company that serves them, where can they go? And I think, as I understand the committee report, what we have here is the first step in that direction. I really took the trouble to take up your time here to urge the department in particular to assist all of us in creating an environment in the city where companies can compete, and where, as a result of the competing, the consumers really will have a choice. We are desperate to have more choices in the 6th District, and what the people will choose or who they will choose, I can't predict, but the complaint that I hear constantly is we want to have a choice. So anything you can do that will help us move in that direction, it seems to me, is a big step forward.
Thank you, Ms. Galanter. The chair recognizes Councilman Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, I think we have a range of issues that have been brought to the fore. The matter is ready to go. It is a very significant matter as it relates to moving the technological infrastructure of our city helping clarify a range of issues, providing better service, and hopefully reaching into a more cost-effective way for people to access the internet, as well as implications that it has for cable. And I would simply urge us to move forward. This has implications for jobs, economic development, and the extent to which the city can benefit by way of any amending actions that come out of the study to be done in the policy and implementation plan. I think we're in good shape, and we should move forward with thanks to the staff and the members of the council for the deliberations and the committee work.
Mr. Hernandez passes. The matters before us, Mr. Ridley, Councilor Miskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to underscore that not only is open access a part of this, but I want to remind the staff that also equality of access is important. In the past, as we looked at the cable battles and as we were laying cable in the city and making it available, there were some areas of the city that were essentially disenfranchised because it took so long to get there. And I would like to make sure that as the staff is looking at this, it's not only looking at the open, accessible new platforms and new technologies, but the equality of that in every part of the city, so that as we see one area perhaps being neglected, we don't allow that to occur and we pay attention to it right up front.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ridley Thomas, you accept Mr. Hernandez's amendment as part of your package. Then we can open the roll on the entire matter. Item 5, including the amendment. Open the roll. Close the roll.
11 ayes.
That matter is approved. Do we have an ordinance? Well, unfortunately, we have an ordinance, so that has to go over 1 week for a second reading because you need 12 votes on the first reading, and there aren't 12 people who are capable of voting on this issue. So the committee reports are approved. The ordinances will be over for 1 week from today for final reading. Next order, Madam Clerk.
This is the time for comments from the public on non-agenda items.
Frank, is it Scharfer? Followed by Carol Knapp. Carol Knapp's going to go first.
I'm Carol Knapp, and we're representing a group called Power, People Outraged Without Equal Representation. Stand up so they know how many people are here. We are here to tell you that we are the people and we are the power. And when Prop 218 passed, the no new taxes without a vote, that's what we meant. And you, except for Nate Holden, who I'm going to honor today, when you pass this systematic code enforcement program, which seeks to go into tenants' bedrooms, we have a lot of tenants here who are for the Fourth Amendment, constitutional rights to privacy, away from government intrusion. We have filed a lawsuit. I ceremonially presented it to the mayor's office this morning. We are not going to take it. Our tenants are not going to let you in. We have horror stories of people, and I'm going to ask them to come up and tell you the horror stories. But first, I'd like to present to Councilman Holden, the one council person in this entire city, including the mayor, who had the courage to stand up and be counted.
Thank you.
Mr. Holden was the only one to vote no on this abusive ordinance. Thank you, Nate. Who's going to come forward and relate a horror story?
Ms. Knapp, let me call the people who've requested. I'm calling all the people. And I must correct for your record, Ms. Knapp, because it is public record. There is only one council member who supported Proposition 218.
No, he voted against
No,
the
I'm saying
systematic
on
code
218, which you first talked about giving the people a right to vote, there is one person who supported 218 in this room, and it's me. Frank Scharfer. Frank Scharfer, let me call the people who've filled out cards, and I'll give everyone a chance to be heard. And then Leonard Shapiro. I'll call everyone who submits a card. Mr. Scharfer, welcome.
I give Carol Knapp my time.
Yes, some of the horror stories from owner X, who was intimidated and afraid to come down and show themselves because of this housing department is really into retaliation, as is the city attorney. This person had a 4-unit building, luxury building. Her rent control tenant, who was only paying $500, demanded cosmetic upgrades. They gave her every upgrade the tenant wanted and let the tenant's girlfriend speak at the hearing. The attorney, for which the owner spent $1,500, was not allowed to be heard. Anybody else with a horror story? Please
Ms.
come
Knapp,
up.
can we ask the people to fill out the cards so that we have a process? I'll let anyone who wants to fill out a card speak, but I have other people who also filled out cards, and in fairness to them, Leonard Shapiro? And I have, excuse me, Leonard, Mr. Savornich reminds me to correct the record that in fact there were two. Mr. Savornich also supported 218. Go ahead, Mr. Shapiro.
I'd rather let these people who are talking on this subject finish before I talk on another subject.
Well, Mr. Shapiro, I've got a lot of people who wish to be heard, and any one of the people who want to fill out cards will be heard. But
all right,
I have to be fair to everybody.
All right, what I want to discuss at this time, then, if this is public comment on any item that within the jurisdiction of the City Council that doesn't appear on the agenda, then I want to discuss the latest information that's coming out to us about secession of the San Fernando Valley and other city areas, where somebody is making a decision before LAFCO that $8 million be spent to determine all the facts and figures about what's happening. Now, what they mean to say is that if other people, other areas like Venice and the West Side and San Pedro and Hollywood and Playa del Rey, if they want to secede, they're going to figure it out before they submit a petition. Now, that isn't right. They should, if they submit a petition, like they did from the Valley Vote, and then they get harassed and they want to charge them $270,000 just to count the signatures, and then when that goes by the wayside and you and the county pick it up, then they make a new determination. They're going to check the entire city. Instead of just the San Fernando Valley, the entire city will be checked, and it'll cost $8 million, and that they want the people who want to secede to pick up the tab. Now, that isn't right. It's not democratic, and it's against the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And we shouldn't allow to do that to happen. The City Council should take a stand on this matter. Charges like $8 million should not be charged by LAFCO. And the City Council should express the sentiment that we and the people who live in the city are American citizens, and we are entitled to be judged by the American Constitution and specifically the Bill of Rights. And there's no reason why somebody has to come in from right field and say we want $8 million more before we can even consider your request. There has to be a vote on it. The entire city is going to vote on it, as well as the area is concerned. But I say this is a matter that the City Council should take a stand on.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. Estelle Tenenbaum, followed by Richard Robinson.
Mr. President, can you please call for a little order in here, a little quiet?
Yes, but it's up to you to be ordered. Ms. Tenenbaum?
My name is Estelle Tenenbaum, and I just want to say a few words on behalf of the caring and very conscientious rental housing providers of this city. You have insulted our integrity. You know better than to put a blatant ordinance like this into effect. If you really wanted to clean up the housing, you would start with some of the slum tenants and help us to get rid of them or get their lives in order. We need your help. You've worked against us for 20 years, and you've systematically destroyed the housing in this city. It's about time you stood up and joined us and make this the #1 city. Remember your slogan, LA Together We're the Best. Well, stop trying to divide us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tenenbaum. Richard Robinson, followed by Daniel Goldsmith.
Mr. President, I pass.
Mr. Robinson passes. Daniel Goldsmith, followed by Larry Ross. Mr. Goldsmith here?
Mr. Goldsmith is here, sir. I'd just like to comment on three topics. Three topics. First of all, I'd like to apologize if I stutter because I've been under a tremendous amount of stress lately in the last 2 years. I know there are some good landlords and some bad landlords. I'm going to speak in regards to one of the bad ones. I'm a resident of Hollywood at 5870 Franklin Avenue, and I'm talking in response to the case, in result to the case of 2317. Out of my concern, in 1997, I took the responsibility and I exposed this slumlord to the city of Los Angeles. And in result of that exposure, I've been stalked, threatened, received over 900 racial and annoying phone calls. In the past 6 months, my car's been vandalized 3 times. I received a phone call mentioning my mother's name and out-of-state address, which came off of my application, my renter's application, and the caller identified my mother as if she was kidnapped. My apartment has been burglarized, and a pass key was used to gain entrance to my apartment. Now, the landlord has, filed false police reports to try to incriminate me. Little has been done about this, and I think anyone who bring slumlord issues, expose slumlord issues, I think they should have some type of protection. You know, I'm strong enough that I've been able to stand up in the last 2 years and continue to speak out against this. I think the council should consider some kind of project to protect citizens who speak out.
Right.
The other topic is very short here. The other topic has something to do with relocation funds. In August 30, 1998, I submitted for relocation due to the fact that the problems in the building at 57 Franklin Avenue was not completed. It was denied, stating that the building was totally inspected and the building was signed off. I personally know that that's not true. I helped work the Northridge earthquake to help bring the city back to some order. And I have a background in architecture, and I worked with FEMA. Now, I was told that the building was signed off. I know the building should not have been signed off. In result to that, the city has, recommended by the Housing Department, they did request for a suspension of the removal of the Franklin building from the REAP program and conducted a further investigation. That investigation, from my understanding, ended on January 3rd, 1999. Now, from that time to the time that I submitted my application, what I stated on my application was valid, the conditions still exist, and I was totally denied refund.
Thank
okay?
you. Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith.
Well,
I
have one more short, and see, this is the problem.
There's a lot of people want to be
Well,
heard.
I got one, and I'll cut it down to a minute.
Thank you.
Okay? I mean, I'm very frustrated. You must understand this. I've been dealing with this for 2 years. Okay? All right? Now, why don't you shut up?
And now, come on, let's everybody, please, everybody be courteous to everyone, and everyone will be given a chance to speak. When people come down here and make an effort, you all want the respect. So if one respects the other, we'll get done. But I'm going to ask you to hurry because I want the others to be heard.
And I thank you. Okay, in regards to a REAP hearing by Mr. Shahari Dohimi, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he's stood in front of the city council on November 15, and stated that the building was totally complete in regards to any building code violations. After November 15th, a continuance was placed on the building to do an inspection. They found problems, okay? Mr. Doheny, on January 13th, 1999, set in office to determine if tenants at 50 Franklin Avenue should receive a refund. Will you please? I'm almost finished.
Please, Mr. Goldsmith, could you please wrap it up?
I'm coming to the closure. Okay, Mr. Doheny was in position to make a determination if the tenant should receive relocation fund. I think that's a conflict of interest when he stands up here and speak against the building, and then going to make a decision if the tenants in that building should receive their fund.
All right, thank you, Mr. Goldsmith. Larry Ross, followed by Bella Richmond. Mr. Ross here.
I'm assuming this is on non-agenda items. This is a continuation from 119 and 120/99. Same week went to FBI to file, but wasn't allowed to do so. Next to CNN to report the crime, but wasn't allowed to do so. December 26, 1998. While I sat on a bench at a bus stop, I was approached by two males who told me I had to leave. Since I did not do so, they gave me 10 minutes to get a bus. Since I did not do so, one came up from behind me, put a chokehold around my neck, lifted me up over the bench, told me I better put my hands behind my back unless I'm going to sleep, or let's go to sleep. I was pulled down to the pavement, handcuffs were placed on my wrists, turned over to my belly, then stood up. And then I was kept standing for at least half an hour before I was taken to the police station on Wilcox. Once there, I had my fingerprints taken, where once again I said to the LAPD officers who was there, by the way, those who choked me was not LAPD. They had on security uniform. They had Burke's security, I believe, on the sleeve. Once again, I said while I was there, I wanted to file a report. I was told that you would get your chance to file a report in court. But I believe the proper location for that report to have been done would have been there at the police station. Then they led me outside, took my property out of the police trunk, the trunk of the police car, and returned it to me. I went around to the front where I said and tried to get a report done, but it was denied. I was denied the opportunity to do so. Opportunities, 1994, the false arrest and imprisonment in county jail for nothing for about between 31 and 33 days. 1995, the false arrested and marked proceedings. Also the attempted robbery and assault and batteries on Slauson and Overhill. 1996, false arrests and imprisonment for nearly 55 days, beginning at Van Nuys, next county jail, where further violations took place, such as placed in a very small holding tank, in cuffs. Then the next morning I was maced, my clothes cut from my body literally. Next placed in the shower. Afterward, shower was engaged. Next they led me to a very small area with only pants on with no top shirt. There I was left in an area for a while. After my eyes became clear of the mace, I observed an officer abusing another fellow inmate while there. Next, they led me to another area, so I believe the 700 or 7100 floor. They sat me on a bench in a hallway before they led me to another area to be subjected to questions. About between April the 18th through the 19th, 1996, I was transported illegally to Saugus and to NCCF, where subjected to unconstitutional proceedings, placed in various pre-holds and holds, and placed in an environment for the sole purpose to induce confrontations, which resulted took back to county jail on May 31st, 1996 for releasing, but kept until June 1st, 1996. After being released without any shoes on my feet or without any footwear. 1997, September the 18th or 19th, Dallas, Texas, while there, I was approached in an unfriendly manner. Later at weigh-in station point, approached and subjected to harassment and illegal search and seizure. At least an illegal search took place aboard the Greyhound bus. En route back to Los Angeles and Louisiana, I was approached by a person identified themselves with law enforcement. He took my property off the bus, told me I better leave the station under the threat of being arrested, and if I should return. 1998, false arrested and imprisoned from January the 26th, 1998 until September the 9th, 1998. On the 2/26 to 27/98, I was placed on continuous lockdown. March 9th, 98, gas pumped into the ventilation.
Mr. Ross,
I'm summing up.
Could you wrap it up? Okay.
I am.
Thank
on
you.
3/16/98, I was pulled down from the top bunk, had the papers of form that I had inside my jumpsuit snatched from my pockets and thrown to the floor. Then I was transported to White Memorial. On the same day, I was injected in both arms with Lord knows what. Once again, I will come back down here tomorrow and complete this.
Thank you, Mr.
Because, before I sum it up, because once again, the First Amendment does give each individual the right to have grievances addressed.
All right, we'll see you
in
tomorrow.
In the process, they should be given enough time to have that done. If you do not give that person enough time to have that done, then that First Amendment
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ross.
has no effect.
Bella Richmond, followed by Ann Hoyt. Excuse me, Mr. Ross, they were courteous to you. Now, please let them speak.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, I wish to express a few things that happened to me through the city rules and regulations and laws. I was operated on and could not move off my bed. I was alone in the house, and the inspector came in for the pool. She came 3 times that same year, and it provoked me a little bit. And I said to her, why do we waste money to have somebody come in and inspect the same pool 3 times a year when they used to do it just once a year? I thought that was a lot of waste. Then she got back at me and made me redo the pool. I redid the pool, then they made me redo the electric wiring. After that, there was other things that came up. Somebody was always pulling something for me to do. So I decided to put the building up into condition on my own. I spent so far $26,000. Everybody wants to buy it now. They wanted to buy it before because I keep the building in tip-top shape. I'm a widow. I was left with $50,000 owing for hospital bills, and that my husband passed away. And here I was struggling. I'm just trying to cover every little thing that I can recall shortly, so if I mix up my conversation, I hope you will realize
That's all right.
I'm trying to save time. I found my building up for auction when I had paid the taxes. I have never faltered on taxes. I've never faltered on any kind of bills for anyone. I was raised to be honest and be conscientious about all my obligations. And I've lived up to it and hope to stay that way, and I've raised my children the same way. Here you come along, you want to monopolize other things. You want me to take an inspector into tenants to invade their privacy. This is ridiculous. We're not in a communist country. We're in America. We're supposed to be free of speech, free of action, free of everything. We are paying our bills. Why are you trying to pressure us to the point, a little person like me, I'm struggling to try and keep things upright, to have these things come up, and my tenants have already expressed, Why are they going to invade on our privacy? Don't we deserve to have that by the Constitution, by our way of living? What's going on in this country? Are we really becoming communists? We are trying to make the communists give away their communism and make them into Democrats. What are we doing to us? Wake up, people. Wake up to the fact, consider the landlord, consider the tenant. I do not raise wages, tenants any rent. I keep them on as low as I can, even though I had all these expenses. I even paid the tax that has to be paid once a year for the tenant. I do not ask them to give it to me.
Right.
For God's sakes, think of us and give us a chance.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ann Hoyt, followed by Gary Hendrickson.
Councilman Wax, I'm privileged to follow this lady.
Would you speak into the microphone, Ms. Hoyt?
I have been renting rooms to tenants for 46 years. Yea, there go I, but by the grace of God, that lovely, lovely woman.
Lift the
Do
microphone
you
up a little
realize
bit.
that I am
Okay.
pushing 70 and I've been doing this for 46 years? Councilman Wax, you know me.
I do.
Why do you do this inspection? It is an $8 million bureaucracy. We need another bureaucracy like a hole in the head. Now, I'm going to speak on behalf of the tenants, the good tenants. Do I evict a good tenant? Heavens, no. They're the ones that pay me their rent on time. They don't burn my building down. Now, I have through AGLA, since you were so complimentary to AGLA, I am here this morning on AOA, Apartment Owners Association. We need all the help that we can get from the associations because we're not getting it from those of you that are sitting on the city council. You'll have to forgive me. I'm very nervous and very upset now because all of a sudden I'm having to speak before so many of you that you really control our lives. This inspection fee, I've had inspectors on my building for 46 years. I have a rapport with the health inspector. I pay $364 a year for my health inspector to come in. When he comes in, I greet him at the door. He never calls me, by the way. After the 2nd of January, I tell her, because nobody works on the January 1st, right? Except us landlords. We are on 24-hour duty. Don't forget that, 7 days a week. If we're away from our buildings, we carry a cell phone that just in case, God forbid, the place is set on fire. But thank God I have 35 smoke detectors. I'm so hoping that the building won't burn down. Do you realize the responsibility we have as good landlords? Now, I'm against that slumlord that this gentleman came up here. You know what, if he came to my door and asked for a rental and he was telling me that horror story, I would tell him, why aren't you suing that slumlord? Because you see, we aren't slumlords. And there's a lot of us that are out there for the rent. There is all right. Thank you so much. There is a form that AOA is also. I'm going to use the AOA one, but I brought in the red one because it's most vivid. The tenants in my building. When I said to them, you're going to have another inspection. Now, this is when I described to them. I have health inspector. I have building and safety. I have the fire department that comes through. I greet them at the door. I bring them in. They check my smoke detectors because I know they're working, so they come through and they check me off. Now, this has been going on for 46 years. I'm very familiar with inspectors. I love inspectors because they are there for my protection. Now, I have tenants that say, oh, we have another inspection, so they're going to willingly sign this tenant, and I'm sharing this with you because I'm sure you may have seen it. I do understand you are working with Trevor Grimm. Thank you very much for listening to him. One more thing. I have one flyer here from a homeowner. This homeowner is saying rent control law hurting neighborhoods. His story is that he has 2 apartment buildings in his neighborhood. One is under rent control. Listen to this. Listen to this. Please, councilman, listen. One is under rent control. I'm emphasizing. The other one is not under rent control. Guess which one of the 2 buildings is the real problem building in that neighborhood? In my audience, who is it? Rent control. Thank you. You see, when I tell you the whole story, and I'm taking too much time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hoyt. Gary Hendrickson, followed by Vic. Is it Vierik?
I'll be very brief. I say this isn't Iraq, and we won't allow any American inspectors. And if we are to be inspected, I think we should start with the city councilmen's homes.
Thank you, Mr. Hendrickson. Vic Varick, followed by Howard Watts.
I'm Vic Varick. I'm an apartment owner. I've rehabbed 3 of my buildings. The other 2 have been approved through CRA. And then I had a request from the inspector on the ordinance to come inspect my 3 of them last year, early in the year before the program was really approved. And what do they find? They find some mildew on the shower wall. That's my responsibility. There are a few other things I took care of, like some water heater strapping. Also, many apartment owners who owned buildings like 10 years ago, San Fernando Valley and the city of Los Angeles, lost their investments through foreclosure. Now we get this ordinance, and we have to, many apartment owners are looking at it as, even if they were not rent controlled before, they are rent controlled now. If somebody put $50,000 into a mutual fund like Vanguard 10 years ago, they'd have $275,000. But as I said, many apartment owners lost their buildings. What are you going to do to provide incentives for people to invest in apartments for the coming population explosion in Los Angeles? It's up to you and the state government and federal to provide some incentive for us. Everything we've gotten has been in the opposite direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Varick. Howard Watts, welcome back. Followed by John, is it McCary? McCara, okay.
I want you to see the back of this shirt because it is the ending of the very good group of people who fasted for 30 days at the mosque on Exposition Boulevard. I want to make it clear to you, these people who are here today, they took off their time to do a lot of other things they could have done with their homes and their places that they work at. They have taken off to try to get something done about this city. The city decided on June the 30th, 1998, that you were going to start charging $1.50 for property owners and $1 for renters. And then you also allowed for these people who are not even building and safety people, they are people who are just hired by this fund that you're creating to go and knock on doors of renters and property owners and homeowners. And you expect them to expect you to let your people to come in to these properties that are not, and they are not going to come in as long as I live. They are not going to come in anywhere I live or in my apartment building. And if I see them, and if any of them knock on my door, they will be in court the very next day. And I want to make another statement since I see Mark Wrigley-Thomas up there. Mark Wrigley-Thomas sicked some cops on me on June 30th, 1998. And he did it with no provocation. I was holding a piece of authorized equipment that the clerks of this city gave me for hearing problems. That equipment was faulty. And when Mark Wrigley-Thomas allowed that to happen, after John Perales said, was there anybody disturbing a public meeting? I was told or asked to move up towards the council chamber to the front of the chambers. And guess what? When I did, Mark Wrigley-Thomas, the guy that needs to be recalled from this agency. And I want to also say one other thing. You don't even have a quorum here. Your quorum is lacking. Thank you
we do
very
have a
much.
quorum. Howard, John followed by Diane Wilkin.
One
Go
sec
ahead.
until I put my lenses on. Magnify glasses. My name is John Makara, and I am in District 10, Mr. Holden District. And I want to compliment Mr. Holden. Whenever I turn to his office, I always get good help, advice, and all that I need in good end. One thing. In my street, there are 3 buildings were condemned, and the tenants were moved, and they didn't pay moving fee for the people. And I have a right now project going on my buildings, which is going to cost maybe $150,000, and I have a tenant, and I probably going to wind up to pay moving fee. Now, how that is that they didn't pay moving fee, and I probably going to have to pay moving fee to my tenants. I would like to get some answer in writing from responsible authority on that subject. Second thing, I already had notion that the people that were inspected, some people couldn't comply in time or financially. They lost their property. Can you please provide us with statistics how many people already lost the property in the city of Los Angeles on account of inspection? To inspection, you people give 15 days. In 15 days, you cannot even find handyman to do the work. I would suggest that would be appropriate 90 days, because in 90 days you might find decent contractor or handyman do the work. 99% people own the property. First, they don't qualify, or they cannot do the work. So 99 days, that would be sufficient probably to find somebody. And well, that's just about it I can say. But this about the pay the tenants moving, I sure like to get some information out, because probably I'm going to have to move my tenants. So my name is John Macara. Address is 811 South Normandy, Los Angeles, California, 90005. Please.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy.
I want information where to turn to ask for about that information. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Diane Wilkin, followed by Judge Florence Picard.
Yes, I'm Diane Wilkin, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak today, as always, before the City Council. I'm very much against this periodic inspection ordinance. I can't understand at all why it was passed in the first place, because you have had laws on the books since I can remember, whereas a gentleman like the one that spoke earlier, with such terrible conditions and on and on and on, he rambled, he could call you if he did not know to call Building and Safety for an inspection to let him know what was happening. He could have called you, his city council person, and you would have said Building and Safety's telephone number is thus and so, and he would call, his name would be held confidential. Just like when we have a police report, say somebody in the neighborhood selling drugs around our area or what have you, we call the police department. There's no way that they give the drug house our telephone number and name as the reporting agent. Doesn't happen at all. It's kept confidential, and you would do the same thing with your laws already on the books. So we cannot fault at all a setup whereby a tenant who is being abused would call in to Building and Safety and report and get an inspection. And I think that's an excellent procedure. They've been invited in by the person in occupancy of the location of the apartment, and that's perfectly acceptable, certainly constitutional and fine. The ordinance as it's written today, my tenants are going to be unconstitutionally invaded. As I understand, if they refuse inspection, they will be put in jail. And I've been told, I don't know that it's true, that the ACLU is waiting for a lawsuit should that happen. I know that we've been telling some of our renters, some of our wonderful renters who have kept us in business for many, many years, what was coming. And they are aghast. One lady said to me, all right, they're going to come in and inspect my housekeeping tomorrow. They're going to be in my filing cabinet next month. And that's my private business. This is my home I'm renting from you. You may technically call an apartment, but it's my home. And I don't want them in here, and I'm not going to allow them in here. And if I have to go to jail, I'm going to go to jail. I'm telling you today, I'm going to go to jail to fight this. Because it's unconstitutional invasion of my privacy.
Right.
So I'm really emphatic about this one, and I want you all to be aware, and I really appreciate Councilman Holden voting against it, that this one is really a bad one.
Thanks, Diane.
But we would, in the future, appreciate any help we can get from you folks. You know, rental housing providers need help. We really do. We've been through the major earthquake. We've been through rent control. We've been through a lot of laws and happenings that have worked to destroy us. And many of us are hanging on barely, and we can use your help.
Thank you,
really
Diane.
could.
Judge Picard, followed by Bob Foster.
To the City Council, I'm a retired judge of the Superior Court. My name is Florence T. Picard, and I hope that the council persons are truly listening to the people who are speaking about this matter under this systematic code enforcement program. I'm not too sure that when you were passing this particular code enforcement program that you knew, in fact, or sought the city attorney's advice as to what rights renters and homeowners had in terms of people going in and, quote, investigating the interior or surrounding areas of the apartment or apartment units. Police officers have no right to invade the privacy of homes and apartments without a search warrant or without probable cause. I cannot see what power, who gives the power to individuals, and I don't even know what their qualifications are, to say what is wrong with this apartment. If you see a sink draining, is that a violation? If you see a piece of tile not glued tightly, is that a violation? I mean, what are the parameters of these inspectors? We don't know. And as most of us are small apartment owners, we're not big owners, we're small. And can you imagine the havoc that can be wreaked as to the small apartment owners who have to fix and repair according to some standard in a certain length of time? It means that many of us are going to lose our investments. Remember, we've lived many years with rent control, and rent control was right when it came in. Landlords were going crazy. They were not thinking in terms of, we've got renters, we shouldn't go sky high. I didn't have a problem. I think that it's gone a little bit too long, and landlords are not really getting a fair return. And when you don't have a fair return, you can't make those necessary repairs. So please look at that ordinance once again before a lawsuit is filed. I'm not one of these people who is litigation happy. I've seen too much of that. But where necessary, it will happen. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Judge Picard. Bob Foster, followed by Santiago Gutierrez.
Hello. I want to voice my criticism against this new ordinance we have, you put in place. I am a good landlord, and so are most of all these landlords I know. They are very good landlords. We keep housing for people, and I do have good people living, good tenants in my place. They have my tenants stay for 5, 10, 12 years. Anything goes wrong, I take care of it right away, and I'm very conscientious, and people stay with me for a long time. And the majority of our tenants, they're all good people, and also the landlords I know, I belong to the association, we all are good landlords, and we take care of our business. And we very much will appreciate if the council would reverse the ordinance which you put in place, and to keep democracy in place in Los Angeles, like the mayor always said, the city of angels. And I do believe that the majority of landlords are all good landlords, supply housing for the city of LA. And this kind of ordinance, what we have right now, is not in place and it's not democratic. Please reverse the situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Santiago Gutierrez, followed by Dan Wilkin.
I'm a real estate agent, and I do sell small apartment buildings, duplexes, and mostly LA 16, Englewood, LA, the poor area of town. Where I have noticed that a lot of homeowners, actually landlords, they've been losing their buildings. They sit vacant, and most of the property is being, an extreme amount of property is being foreclosed. Now, I also know a lot of property landlords that basically are selling their building because they can't keep it up. They're letting it go through foreclosure because they're not even making the money to maintain the building or make the payments. Second of all, we, the landlords, are being singled out for this excellent program, which is the habitability inspection and safety. I believe that should not be just the privileged few to benefit from this program. I believe all homeowners on single-family houses, buildings, office buildings, body shops, everybody should have the same benefit and of the program. Not all of us, but I feel that if it were so, then this law would never pass.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Dan Wilkin, followed by Reverend Luster. Dan here?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. In my opinion, I think this is just another way to create jobs and leech off the landlords. It's been going on for 20 years. You've passed an ordinance that discourages us from repairing our apartments financially. And now you want to come down on us because perhaps we did and perhaps we didn't. You've collected $150 million through rent control, and I don't think the rent control people ever drove a nail or painted a board. In other words, they're just leeching off of us. I had inspectors come on my property a few years back after taking care of my swimming pool for over 20 years and said I was incompetent to do it. They would do it, and they would put a $200 fee on my taxes. Another lecherous group of people. If they want a job, why don't they help us fix up the apartments? And now we have this ordinance that's going to cost a lot of the homeowners, the apartment owners, their life savings. And I don't know when it's going to stop. If you want to put some people to work, help us fix up the apartments, not stand around and tell us what to do and be ignorant and really don't even know how to work on them yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkin. Reverend Luster, followed by John Lane.
I am Reverend Ingle Marie Luster, and I am addressing the Systematic Code Enforcement Program. I reside in a 4-unit building in the Mid-Wilshire area in Councilman Holden's district. I am a co-owner, and my brother and I reside in this 4-unit building in separate apartments, and we rent out 2 units. I was advised by a Miss Robin Jackson when I called to inquire about the program that our units, the owner's units, would have to be inspected as well as the tenants. And this seems incongruous with the law as it is stated. And if there is an exception for a owner living in a 2-unit parcel and that owner's tenant doesn't have to be inspected, why would 2 owners who reside in an upscale apartment have their units inspected? I strongly suggest that this law as it stands, that it be ceased, and that you cease and desist until you can look at this more clearly to make it more equitable for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lesser. John Lane, it's the last speaker I have. The last card that was filled out is Mr. Lane here.
Yes. Before I begin speaking, I would like Mr. Hernandez's attention. And I'd like the gentleman speaking to him to cease speaking. And my comments are also directed to the lady who's on the telephone in the blue suit over there, who has been talking to all the council people here, and this white-haired lady who just walked over and spoke to this gentleman. You have citizens here who are paying the taxes, who are paying your salaries. They come up here to speak, and Mr. Wax, you have been one of the few, and Mr. Alatorre, I'm sorry, who have given some attention to the citizens that are coming up here. It's an outrage to see people totally ignoring people coming up here to speak to you. And Mr. Hernandez, I could not believe you. You turn your back on people. You've been over there talking to the gentleman behind you in the glasses. I think that their manners are as bad as yours are. And I think you need to sit down with the council people and talk about this problem. I don't believe it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. That completes, Carol, did you?
I just want to say no to Big Brother.
Okay. That,
This is America. You're not getting in our homes, and you're not taxing us.
okay,
We said
Carol,
no to new.
that completes the public hearing. The chair would request that the clerk would transmit all the testimony of all the speakers here today to the department and report back to the council recommendations in light of that testimony, at least, and then we'll have that back on the agenda. That completes the public hearing. Next order, Madam Clerk.
Motions for posting and referral.
Those are so posted and referred.
You have excuses on the desk. Councilmember Fuhr requests to be excused February 2nd to arrive at 11 a.m. City business meets council policy.
It's approved.
Councilmember Chick requests to be excused Wednesday, February 3rd to leave at noon and for city business, and Friday, March 12th, personal business meets council policy.
Approved.
And Councilmember Ridley Thomas requests to be excused at 11:15 on Wednesday, the 27th. City business meets council policy.
That's approved. Next order, Madam Clerk.
That clears the desk before going into closed session.
Well, it doesn't. What's the next order? I believe is number 14.
That was going to be a closed session item.
Members of the council, I'm going to ask for your attention here. Members of council, item 14 is up next. The chair personally does not believe there should be an executive session. If council member wishes to make a motion to go into executive session and there are 8 votes, fine.
Mr. Chair, if I could, Gail Weingart, Assistant City Attorney, if you want to have the policy matters held in open session, that is no problem. And at the point at which we get into personnel issues that are an issue, then we will.
Well, the chair would rule that the policy matters are public matters and they should be held first. And if we get into a personnel matter, we'll hold that specific item and go into executive session. But I think that the least amount of executive session, the better. This is an important issue that people throughout this city and have an interest in, and I don't believe it should be behind closed doors simply because there might be a tangential personnel matter. So you'll tell us, Madam City Attorney, when we actually get to a personnel matter that needs to be, and that will hold, but I think that the broader issues that raises should be clearly in public, and so that would be the chair's ruling unless there's an overruling by the 8 members of the council.
All right, yes, there are 2 city attorneys at the table, and they will also, if there is an issue about personnel, they'll mention it.
Who would like to make the presentation to the council? And members of council, I'm going to ask that you pay attention to this because it's a lengthy and meaty matter. Which commissioner would like to start? Commissioner Perez? Okay. The chair recognizes Commissioner Perez.
Thank you very much. The Police Commission appreciates the fact that the City Council has brought this incident to the Commission's attention. It provides us with an opportunity for the Commission to review its protocols, procedures, and processes as they relate to the IG, the Commission, the Executive Director, and the Chief of Police. What I'd like to do is mention to you that we have copies of 2 reports. One is the public report, and to the extent that anyone from the public would like a copy, we have that here. We also have a confidential report, and we have that in the blue binders available for every city council member. And I will be guided by our city attorney as to the distribution of the confidential report and the timing of that. What I'd like to do is, do you want to?
Just give the public matters to the clerk, and the clerk and they'll be available to everyone. So the fundamental dividing line here is going to be that if there is a matter that is a personnel matter involving a particular employee's situation, that may have to go into executive session. But all of the issues, the broader issues that are raised, and the whole issue of how police complaints are handled, and the roles of the Inspector General and the Commission, and all of those broad matters raised by that are public issues. So only a very specific action involving the conduct of an individual, if it's a personnel matter, it would be the limited amount to go into public to private. And the public is all of the issues raised by it in the policy matters that the council and the commission are going to have to deal with. That's the general guideline here for what should be public and private from the chair's point of view.
The city attorney is bringing up the blue binders which contain the confidential report also. But we can proceed in...
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, being that you've expressed an interpretation, does that mean that we will have a chance to discuss the blue binder in closed session?
To the extent it involves that private matter, yes.
So we will be doing both those matters at this time?
But we can go into that later. I think that we ought to have out on the desk first the broader context of the issues that we're dealing with, and I'll trust the commission to make the initial presentation. And we have our acting inspector general here, and okay. Yeah, you're going to have to talk into the microphone. Would you make sure that hers is on so that we can be heard? And okay. Edith, it's up to you.
Okay. I'd like to set the context in which this incident arises. In the summer and fall of 1998, there were disputes between the chief of police and the police union. And this stems out of a statement made by the chief of police at that time. And this statement was reported in the Los Angeles Times and 2 TV broadcasts when the chief referred to department employees who are police protective leave directors as tired old men. One employee, Sergeant Jace Kessler, found these remarks by the chief to be rude and discourteous remarks. Sergeant Kessler addressed the complaint to Catherine Mader, then the Inspector General, who was out of the country at the time. However, Sergeant Kessler received a response from the Executive Director to the Police Commission, Joseph Gunn, advising that Gunn was responding since the Inspector General worked under him at that particular time, and that the complaint didn't justify an investigation, and that Mr. Gunn would forward a copy of the complaint to the Chief of Police for his review and/or action. What the public report sets forth is a number of recommendations.
This is an important report. I mean, there are people that are talking, and it's hard to pay attention. You know, this is serious. This is not, you know, just crap,
Well,
right?
tell
So
me
let's-
about it. I mean, that's what I've been yelling about all day. I agree with you. Mr. Perez, would you like to start from the beginning? I think it would be helpful, and I'd ask the council's clear attention to this matter. Thank you.
Want me to start all over?
I think so. You could just
Okay.
briefly.
This incident arises out of ongoing dispute between the police union and the chief on a number of issues last summer and fall of 1998. The chief of police at one point made a statement that is the subject of a complaint by a sergeant. The statement was the chief referring to department employees who are Police Protective League directors as, quote, tired old men, end of quote. This was found to be a disturbing statement by Sergeant Jace Kessler. He heard this on TV. It was also reported in the Los Angeles Times. He addressed a letter of complaint to Catherine Mader, who was then the Inspector General and who was out of the country at that particular time. The original of the complaint went to the Office of the Inspector General. A copy of the complaint letter was sent to the Commission and to the Mayor's office by the CCs, and that has been confirmed by our Inspector General through her interviews with Sergeant Kessler. The letter was responded by the Executive Director to the Police Commission, Joseph Gunn. In Mr. Gunn's reply, he responded by stating, since the Inspector General works under him, the complaint did not justify, he was responding to the complaint, and the complaint didn't justify an investigation, and that a copy of the complaint would be forwarded to the Chief of Police for his review and/or action. Those are the facts that we have in the public document. There are more extensive facts in the confidential report. What I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about the board actions in the public report. They are the policy matters. These board action items are recommendations by the Inspector General based on this investigation and after consultation with the city attorney. The first item directs the Chief of Police to immediately issue a special order to update the department's manual to set forth the position, the duties, and the responsibilities, and particularly the language regarding the confidentiality and direct reporting relationship that the Commission outlined in its December 17th motion. I could go through each one of them, or if there are comments or questions, there are 5 of these policy.
I think you should go through them.
Okay, the second one, top of page 2, the board has directed the Inspector General to establish a protocol for handling correspondence and complaints when the Inspector General is absent from the office. The third one is an existing ad hoc committee was established to examine the issues regarding the confidentiality of the Office of the Inspector General. Given this incident, we would like this subcommittee to also examine the issue of maintaining the identity of a complainant in light of the state laws that provide the right to the officer who is the subject of the complaint the opportunity to review all the investigative matters. And in this particular case, that would have been the Chief of Police. The fourth item, the board directs the IG to develop a policy with respect to how complaints against the Chief of Police are to be handled. In the history of the Police Commission, as the present commissioners know it, this has not been a uniform procedure, and we would like the Inspector General to develop a policy and a procedure in tracking and categorizing complaints against the Chief of Police. For example, when in the investigative process is the board to be notified of a complaint, who is to investigate the complaint, and the tracking and categorization. We've asked the Inspector General to provide us with that policy by February 16, 1999. Number 5 deals with retaliation, and consistent with its vigilant enforcement of the Department's retaliation policy, the Board has directed the Inspector General to advise Sergeant Kessler to report to her any suspected retaliatory conduct, and we have, in fact, sent Sergeant Kessler a copy of this public report, and Inspector General in there indicates that she will call him to meet with him and make sure that there has been no retaliatory conduct against him.
Are there anything that the other commissioners would like to add?
Just one minor addition as well, which is that, as Commissioner Perez pointed out, on recommendation number 4, we've set a deadline of February 16th. Number 5 has essentially already been accomplished. Numbers 1 and recommendation number 2, we have also asked that those...
Let me clarify.
We're looking for these recommendations and having a hard time finding them.
Attached to the binder is a brown envelope. The brown envelope contains the 3-page public... Yeah, but it hasn't attached.
Well, I don't think that they've been passed, what's been passed out, Ms. Perez?
The rubber band with the blue binders.
That's not ours. They haven't passed out the binders yet? Oh,
No. The only thing we have here is this letter.
That's the response.
Jerry, could in the microphone. No. Yeah, if you don't speak directly in it, you don't
They didn't
get
turn it on. What you're looking at is the response to the city attorney's, your request about after our hearings in December.
We're not hearing that item today in council.
I know. Well, they made a mistake. Here comes the binders. In the brown envelope is the
Who, is this from the city attorney that you gave us?
Yes.
Oh, so...
We didn't give that to you.
If I could clarify for the council, as the police commission president was telling us, as the report is being passed out, what you weren't aware of, the only report that was passed out to us was the city attorney's letter. So we have just now received your report, which you talked about, which we couldn't correlate.
Right.
So now we will...
All right, Commissioner Perez, is the 3-page document that's been handed out in the brown envelope, that is a public document, right?
That's the public document.
So anyone who wishes one from the public, and these are the recommendations you just referred to in your report.
They were rubber band in a brown envelope with a binder.
All right, members of council, this is a public document, so that there's no... All right, Commissioner Hansel?
In any event, on that, I was making reference in the public report, as you'll see that as Commissioner Perez described, there are 5 recommendations. As Commissioner Perez pointed out, recommendation number 4 is to be accomplished by February 16th. Recommendation 5 has essentially already been carried out, and recommendations 1 and 2, although it doesn't say this in the public report, we've also asked that those be accomplished by February 16th as well.
And I guess one final statement should be that the issue of the executive director getting involved in the Inspector General's office in any way in relation to correspondence or anything else has been alleviated by the policy we adopted on December the 17th and then amended in January that says the Inspector General reports directly to us, and we have oversight over the Office of the Inspector General, not the Executive Director.
Say that again into it.
The Inspector General now reports directly to the Commission, and we supervise the Inspector General, not the Executive Director, no longer supervises the Inspector General.
Does the acting Inspector General wish to add anything? Or the city attorneys wish to add anything? All right, we have council debate. I chair recognizes Councilman Hernandez. Well, Ms. Chick is the chairman of the committee, so let me ask her to go first, and then Mr. Hernandez.
At this point, because it's hard for all of us to take in this information, on the spot. And I will reserve the opportunity to speak again, perhaps with a suggestion that we have an opportunity to review the material. But I do want to thank the Commission both on the overall issue of the Inspector General and in this particular issue that it seems that what we are watching play out is that as the Commission becomes aware of problems with the Inspector General or with the complaint system or with the discipline system, that in very recent times you have been quickly moving to change policy and procedure to address those problems. I think most of you have heard me say more than once that I can't underscore more the importance of the City Council, as well as the Mayor, as well as the Los Angeles Police Department, working closely with the Police Commission, having good communication, and trying to be on the same page with shared goals, which I know is the case often, sometimes has not seemed to be. And with that, I will listen to my colleagues and try to speed read.
Chair recognizes Councilman Hernandez.
I just had a few questions. It's not necessarily an issue of debate, but do we envision the Inspector General being gone often from the city? And is there a current policy established as to how soon there should be a response to a complaint?
We don't, go ahead.
No. The answer to the first part of the question is no. We don't envision the Inspector General being gone very often, but when he or she is, we would like to make sure that there's a policy. Second of all, part of the protocols that will be developed about how the complaints against the police chief should be handled will include some statement about timeliness.
Yeah, do we know, I mean, because we are making this one of the policies, we're asking for some procedure. Is there a policy as to how soon we will respond to a complaint?
We being the Police Commission? We will try to write something in that talks about it.
Well, I'm just asking because you have item number 2.
Yeah, no, we're going to try to write something in that talks about timeliness so that we obviously don't handle a complaint by failing to handle it.
Right. It just seems to me that if some complaints are handled quicker than others, there should be some justification. The next question I had on item number 3, in terms of the subcommittee that's there dealing with confidentiality, can someone explain to me, is there policy currently in place now, and what is that policy, and how does this change that?
It doesn't yet, but Commissioner Jackson and I are the subcommittee, if that's the correct way of saying it. And the position of confidentiality now is that basically what we've said is the Inspector General shall not disclose the identity of an employee without the consent of the employee for whom a complaint or information was received, unless such disclosure, here, let me read it. Unless such disclosure is unavoidable in order to effectively investigate an allegation or is otherwise required by law.
And when was that policy in place?
As of 1996, and then we've expanded it to basically say that, it's paramount unless there's a court order or law requires it.
So is that part of the discussion in closed session?
No, it doesn't have to. You mean
I mean, it just seems to me that the previous procedure, the reason we got here, did not follow that policy.
With the city attorney found on confidentiality.
Discussed in closed
session. Yeah, okay.
I listened to my lawyer.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to be heard?
I'd like to get some information, and I don't know if it's appropriate here, but I understand the letter was sent by Joe. I want to find out what happened as a result of it, what became of it. Is it a dead issue?
What became of what? The complaint
Of
or
the
the
letter?
letter?
Of the complaint.
That information's in the confidential report.
All right, well then, I haven't had a chance, I'm reading it right now, and maybe if we're through with this phase, we ought to go into executive session and get to the substance of it. And I am guided by the city attorney or as to what we should do. But I think that now that we have handled that we can handle in public, I'd like to now then maybe go into closed session so that we can deal with, and I say this because I think this is just symptomatic of a deteriorating relationship that ultimately is going to have a profound impact on the city, on the department, and the way that it is managed. And I think that we ought to get to that.
On this case, the Inspector General looked into this Kessler matter?
Yes.
Did she report to any of the members of the commission on this issue?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, that's covered in the confidential portion.
It is? Okay. All right, then, if there's nothing else, we'll go into executive session on this confidential report and also item 32 when we get to it. So anybody that's not involved with the executive session, please leave the council chamber. Open session, is there any action need to be taken?
No, Mr. President, the desk is clear.
Okay, do we have anything before us? Adjourning motions? Would everyone please stand? Gail, you want these reports back?
The blue notebooks.
And what about these? What about? Oh. Okay, here's mine. Make sure you get them all. Okay, Mr. Alatorre.
Mr. President, members, I'd like to adjourn the memory of Leslie Seberg. He was an attorney, lived in San Fernando Valley, and he's my little girl's attorney. Died tragically at the Glendale Municipal Court on Friday. He was waiting to have a case heard, and he died of a heart attack. I'd like to adjourn his memory.
Mr. Bernson.
I don't know whether we've adjourned or not for Louise Turner, but if we haven't, we did. I'd like to be a co-author on that.
We added your name. Ms. Misakowski.
I'd like the council to adjourn in the memory of Robert Caldwell. He was an 86-year-old retired LA City firefighter who lived in my district. He died last night when his house caught on fire. His wife was unable to rescue him. He had retired on a disability pension and had been an engineer at Station 80, which is at the LAX area. The cause of the fire is unknown, but he had been a firefighter for 35 years when he retired on disability.
All members.
He's survived by his wife.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, I ask that you join me in adjourning in memory of General Hudley. He is the father of Ms. Janethia Hudley Hayes, who many of us may know lost her mother not more than 4 months ago. And we received notice that the general died on last evening.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes. I'd like to be a co-presenter on the motion for General Hudley. And I would ask the council to adjourn in the memory of Alfreda Reed Glasgow. All of you had an opportunity to meet or at least see Mrs. Glasgow when she was here as I was presenting a retirement certificate to her daughter, who retired as a professor at Southwest Law School. And I shared with you then that she had been a teacher in the Kansas City, Kansas schools, and that both she and her husband were teachers, and her husband had taught me. I was 7 years old when I first met Ms. Glasgow, and all through those years she had a reputation of just being the most wonderful teacher. Everybody loved her, and she was just terrifically dedicated to her job. She and her husband came here to Los Angeles in 1955 and both began teaching in the Los Angeles Unified School District, where she continued her outstanding work. They were involved in community service, including civil rights activities, and both of them were just everybody's dream of a teacher. They really carried a burden for the students. They imparted the knowledge that was needed to them, and we're very sorry to see her go.
Yeah, members of the council, I read in the paper today that Herman Wiedemeyer passed away. Herman Wiedemeyer played for St. Mary's University in the 40s, and later he was from Hawaii. Later he was in the Hawaiian 5-0 series. He passed away, and I'd
like to be a second on that.
adjourn in his memory.
What about Spike Cordero? He played with him.
I don't know about that.
Oh, man.
Call the roll. Ms. Jack?
Mark Ridley Thomas, Rita Walters on the general.
All right, call the roll. Aye, the council is adjourned.